Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Emily and I am the Anxious Reader. Okay, so today we are going to do a quick little video. We're going to do the classics book tag. I have the questions on my phone and we're going to go through them. And we also have a stack of books to talk about, so let's get into it. So the first question is an overhyped classic that you really didn't like. Okay. Don't hate me, guys. This is gonna be a controversial opinion. This is like one of the most popular classics and I really can't stand it. Pride and Prejudice. I hate this book. I really don't understand the appeal of this book. Okay, so this might not be a completely fair assessment because I've never actually made it all the way through this book. I have made it over halfway through and still have not been able to make it to the end. I mean, I know the ending because it's a classic and I've seen both the 90s and the Keira Knightley movie adaptations. I actually really love the Keira Knightley adaptation, but I can't. I find it so boring and so dull. And I know that it's like a satire and people think it's funny and it's a societal commentary, but I just don't care enough. I also really, really, really don't like Mr. Darcy. And I know he's like the heartthrob of the classics community, but I don't know, he's mean to her the entire book. And then at the end, it's just supposed to be like, oh, I was mean because I love you and I'm sorry. And then they're magically fine. And I just don't think that that excuses his behavior in the rest of the book. And I don't like him. So, yeah, we're starting off with a bang here. I will say that I'm planning on reading this soon and actually getting through it. So maybe that opinion will change if I make it all the way through finally. So we will see. There may be an update on that, but as of now, this is like the overhyped classic that I cannot stand. Yeah. Okay, so the second question is your favorite time period to read about. And I think my answer is the Victorian era, but I don't know that that's a completely fair answer either because I really haven't read much from time periods outside of the Victorian era. I love Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre where it's like moody and it's set on the moors and it's kind of creepy and dark and also romantic, and so I like gothic fiction specifically, but my favorite time period in general is the Victorian era. Question 3 is your favorite fairy tale. I haven't read many fairy tales. I don't think I've read any Brothers Grimm. We had like a Aesop's Fables book when I was a kid, so I read like children's versions of those. But I haven't read any of the like actual fairy tales. I haven't read Hans Christian Andersen either, but I think from what I know of the stories without having read them, my favorite is Little Mermaid. And I like the Disney version, but I also like the original story where, you know, she, like, her legs hurt her every time she moves and then she jumps into the sea at the end and becomes sea foam. I actually really like that version of the story. I like the sort of darker twist on it as opposed to the Disney version. But I haven't actually read that fairy tale, so I guess that's my answer. Okay, question 4. What is the classic you're most embarrassed about not having read yet? So I'm not sure. I mean, I guess Pride and Prejudice, but I'm not really embarrassed about it. I do feel like I should have gotten through it by now and I haven't, but I'm not really embarrassed about it because what I have read from it I didn't enjoy. So I guess that's kind of a cop-out answer. I think my actual answer is this bad boy. So this book, Anna Karenina, I have tried to read 3 or 4 times now, I think, and every time I pick it up I get a little bit further and then I still put it down. The first time I tried, I decided to start reading it during finals week of my senior year of undergrad. Like, who did I think I was? I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea, but Obviously, I didn't get through it. And then I tried it again that summer. I tried to get through it, but I still ended up putting it down. And then a couple years ago, I started it and I made it almost halfway. This is my bookmark that's still in it. I got to page 355 and I still ended up putting it down. I don't know why, I don't have a good excuse, but basically every year I say, this is the year I'm going to get through Anna Karenina, and then I never do. And it has become sort of a running joke because my boyfriend teases me about it every time I say it. He just doesn't believe me anymore at this point, but I am going to do it this year. I have decided. He doesn't believe me. You guys might not believe me, but I'm on page 25. We're gonna do it, right? We're gonna do it this year. Gonna do it. Okay. Question 5 is the top 5 classics you would like to read soon. So, let's see. Top of the list. The next one that I most want to read is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I started this one a couple years ago and I got maybe a quarter of the way through and then put it down. But I am really excited. I've heard that a lot of people actually enjoy this more than Emily and Charlotte Bronte's writing, and I haven't read any Anne yet, so I'm very excited for this one. And I've heard that this one is sort of more like wholesome, like it's more of an actual healthy relationship as opposed to, you know, Emily with Heathcliff and Kathy, like the most toxic relationship ever. I've heard that this one is a good relationship and is just more wholesome in general, and so I'm very excited to read this one, and I plan on picking it up pretty soon. So that's the second one. Next we're throwing it back to the ancient classics with the Odyssey. So I have read like a children's edition of this when I was a kid, and then I also read different excerpts of it in my undergrad studies because I was a classics major, but I never actually sat down and read the whole thing from beginning to end. But I want to read it soon to sort of get some more backstory on this story and the like ancient myths in general, because I'm using some of that in the writing project that I'm currently working on. So it's sort of research, and also I just want to read it. So this one will be happening very soon. Okay, fourth one that I want to read soon is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I had never heard of this one until like last year maybe, when I started looking for more sort of creepy Victorian Gothic books, and this was at the top of all of the lists I looked at, and I had never heard of it. So I immediately bought it, and I'm really excited because it's supposed to be creepy, and I don't really know very much about it. I think it's a ghost story, but that's pretty much all I know, and I don't really want to know too much more going into it because I think it's sort of a mystery thriller, Victorian mystery thriller. That's kind of all I need to know. So very excited, and I plan on getting to this one hopefully in May, if not in June. So yeah, there's that. Okay. All of the ones that I picked that I want to read soon are chonkers, I'm realizing now. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but here we are. But the last book that I want to get to soon is Don Quixote by Cervantes. I don't know a ton about this book, but it's been on my shelves for years and I haven't gotten around to it. And I heard somebody talking about it recently and talking about how much they loved it, and so that really got me excited to pick it up soon, and I plan on getting to it hopefully this summer, so we will see how that goes. Okay, on to question 6, which is your favorite modern book or series based on a classic. So this one was kind of hard. I haven't read very many sort of modern adaptations of classics that I could think of, but the one that immediately sprang to mind was Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and also Circe by Madeline Miller. I loved both of these, but I read this one more recently, so it's more fresh in my mind. So I'm going to say this one. This one is a retelling of the Achilles myth, and it is told from the perspective of Patroclus, and it sort of twists this. It So in the Iliad, it's kind of implied that Achilles and Patroclus are lovers, but it's never explicitly said, and we don't see too much interaction between the two of them in that way. So this book is a retelling where they are lovers, they are together, and it's told from Patroclus's point of view, and it's heartbreaking and beautifully written, and I loved it. So if you have any interest in the Iliad or ancient classics, I highly recommend this one. I think it was a great retelling. And I mean, everybody has read that book, so I don't know why I'm telling you what it's about like you don't already know, but whatever. Question 7 is your favorite movie or series based on a classic. And I think my answer for this one is the new Little Women movie that came out last year. I absolutely loved it. I liked the sort of more feminist spin that the director put on the story, because when I read the book a couple years ago, I actually didn't love it that much. I found it a little sort of preachy, I guess is the best word for it. And I mean, I know that I'm not the target audience, obviously, because it was written for younger girls. So me as a 20-something is not the intended audience. So I know that that was part of the problem, maybe. But it just felt a little preachy to me. But I really loved the movie that came out. I loved all of the actors in it. They all did an amazing job. And I really enjoyed the sort of feminist twist on it that they did with the Joe story and with what's the other sister? Is it Amy? There were a lot of discussions in it about women and their place in the world, and ways for women to sort of make their way in the world when there aren't that many opportunities for them. And I really, really enjoyed those discussions in it. It felt very refreshing. So, yes. Okay. We're almost done. Question 8 is the worst classic to movie adaptation. So I haven't actually watched that many movie adaptations of the classics that I've read, because I don't want to watch the movies for books that I haven't read yet. I want to read the book first to give it so that I have just a better understanding of the movie going in and like what the original storyline is. So yeah, I haven't watched too many movies, but I will say that I watched both the Wuthering Heights, I don't know which one I watched, but I think I watched more than one Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights movie, and I didn't really enjoy either of them. So if you guys know of a good movie version of either Wuthering Heights or Jane Eyre, let me know, because I would really love to see those stories on the screen done well. Okay. Question 9 is the favorite edition you'd like to collect more classics from. So most of my classics are in either the Penguin classics, like the Black Spine. I have a bunch of these and I really love them. I like how floppy they are. I also have a bunch of the Oxford classics. I like those as well, but the paper on those is kind of thin and I don't always love reading from them. The editions that I have just started getting more of are these Penguin English Library editions, which I really love. I think they're adorable. I love all of the cover designs on them, and the spine is that sort of iconic orange and whatever color stripy pattern, and they're also super floppy, and I love that. So I am looking to get more of these very soon. Okay. Last question is number 10, an underhyped classic you'd recommend to everybody. So I don't actually have a copy of this with me right now. I think I lent it to my sister. I can't remember who I lent it to. I gave it to somebody because it's not on my shelf. But anyway, so my answer for this one is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have already talked about this several times in my previous 2 videos, so I'm sure you guys are not surprised by this, but that book was my favorite book of the year last year. I went in not knowing very much about it. It popped up on the sort of the same list that The Woman in White popped up on when I was looking for more sort of gothic literature to get into, and I loved it. It's sort of a domestic thriller, I guess, but the writing is gorgeous, and it also has so many twists and turns in it. Like every time you think you know what's actually going on, there's another twist that you don't see coming, and then the ending is crazy. So yes, everybody should read Rebecca. I'm currently reading My Cousin Rachel, also by that author, and I'm loving that one too. I don't know where it's going yet, but we'll see. Also, there is a Hitchcock movie adaptation that came out in the 40s with Laurence Olivier in it, and it's so good as well. So that one is a good one if you want to read a classic and watch a good movie adaptation of that classic. So yeah, I highly recommend that one. Okay, so that is all that I have for you today. That's all of the questions on the book tag. I feel like everybody that is interested in doing this tag has already done it, so I'm not going to tag anybody, but if you want to do this video, if you're watching and you want to make your own, go ahead, I tag you. Let me know what your favorite classics are and what your favorite classic movie adaptations are, because I'm always looking for more of those to watch. So yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!